it's true that James Harden doesn't quite look like the same guy that he was a few years ago, and I think that's partly because of his age, but partly just because of the way he's maybe kind of slacked on taking care of himself the last few years.
Strip clubs.
Yeah.
That's true.
So, we are going to be talking about the second round of the playoffs today. We're going to each be giving our predictions for each series. And then I think we should also do the predictions for the conference finals and then the championship as well, who we think is going to be in the finals and win. So let's start off with the first series in the Western Conference, the Mavericks and the Suns. I have got the Suns winning this one. I guess we won't probably say in how many games, but the Mavericks, they did look good in the last series. Their offense looks very good. Honestly, they're out from under the Porzingis injury shadow. I think that's helped them a lot this year. They got Dinwiddie and Jalen Brunson, and just they're completely loaded with shooters around Doncic. And this is Doncic's first time out of the first round. He's making his first deep playoff run. But they got Devin Booker. The Suns got Devin Booker back from injury. I don't know exactly how that hammy's going to hold up, but... And then, man, did Chris Paul look good in that. As he closed out the series, that 14 for 14 game, that was intense. And then Mikal Bridges, too. He's just completely emerged into a two-way player, like a defensive stopper and a guy who can seemingly get like 25, 30 if he needs to. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Suns.
Yeah, Chris Paul looks like he's on a mission. And unless injuries creep up, I don't see Dallas really being able to stop the train that they have.
That is the problem with Chris Paul, though, is those injuries always do.
The injuries could show up at any time, and
but it could happen for either team. So.
Yeah, Doncic is working on a leaking tire too.
Yeah, so, calf, right?
Yeah, so I mean, any of these series could be changed by injury, but looking at it as it is today, I don't see Dallas being able to stop the Suns.
I actually have it as slightly closer than what it sounds like you guys have it. I think that the Suns will win, but in 6, and I think that the real X factor that nobody's even brought up yet is Ayton. The Mavericks have no check for Ayton. They have, Kleba in there, going to get thrown around by Ayton. Ayton's shooting a crazy percentage in the playoffs. Chris Paul dimes him. Mavericks are not going to be able to have a guy that can check Ayton. They just, unless they throw Boban in there.
I know that Ayton and Gobert are not the same player, but that's what the Mavericks did in the last series. Is they just went small. They had Kleba, however you say his name, hitting threes and stretching out or whatever. And so, if Ayton's going to stay in the game, he's going to have to be able to defend the 3-point line. Probably.
I think he's more mobile to get out to the 3-point line than Gobert, but. I just think that on the flip side, nobody can guard Ayton, and I do think that Luka, is okay because he can get checked by Bridges, and then Brunson can get checked by Paul, but Brunson's been a problem, and we'll see what happens. The Suns certainly have more perimeter defense than the Jazz did. Let's be honest, the Jazz were just a traffic cone on the perimeter. Donovan Mitchell was not.
Yeah, they were literally seeking him out. I heard that they were trying to going at him every time they got the switch or whatever they wanted on defense, and they were attacking him every possession. And one thing to your point is that Gobert has no offense, and Ayton has a sweet turnaround jumper. He's pretty good inside and stuff. So I think I heard Shaq and them on TNT talking about how Gobert couldn't stay in the game not because of his inability to guard the perimeter, but because he couldn't make them pay on the offensive end. Yeah,
they were playing 5-on-4 on the offensive end. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that we all have the Suns, but I think the Mavericks can make it interesting.
I think it'll be interesting.
Just
too.
Depends.
I think the Mavericks will win a game or two, but I just don't think that they'll be able to put a serious hurt on. The Suns just look like they're on a mission to me.
It is interesting seeing Doncic getting a playoff run, though. This is the first time he's really been winning in the playoffs. It's kind of interesting to see.
It's fun to see.
Yeah. So the next series, the Warriors and the Grizzlies. I've got the Warriors in this one. probably in another good series, I'd say. I honestly think it could go 6 or 7. But with the Warriors winning Game 1 with the bogus Draymond Green ejection, I think
Not so bogus.
I think everyone here except for Coleton thinks that was a pretty bogus call. And then it's pretty fun seeing Klay Thompson back in meaningful games and stuff. I think that he's been one of my favorite players for years, honestly, before the injuries, and I
would agree with that.
I felt bad for him seeing all those social media posts of him out on his boat while the Warriors were like playing games and stuff. He's a great player. I honestly think he's one of the most underrated players, even though everyone considers him part of the best shooting backcourt in NBA history probably. But his defense and stuff. Even though he missed those 2 free throws in Game 1,
yeah, he's coming back. First crunch time back. Give him some.
And he had the game-winning defensive play
And the 3.
Yeah, he did. He did hit that clutch 3, which they both got looks at it before that, and they both missed. And I was like, "What is going on?"
Steph missed like 3 threes in the 4th.
He didn't have a great game, honestly. No. I mean, he had a good game, but not a great game.
Carried him.
And I think that you guys have just spoke to the reason why I think the Warriors are going to win in 5. Memphis had a chance and blew it. Like, Morant had a great game. Jaren had a good game. They both, put up big numbers.
Dylan Brooks had a terrible game.
But they were at home. Like, Curry didn't have that great of a game. Like, Klay didn't shoot that well. And Draymond got ejected, and they still couldn't win. Like, get out of your own way. The Warriors have way more experience. Kerr is just a good coach, Jenkins is a pretty solid coach too, but I don't think he's a better coach than Kerr. And they had a chance to really put a stamp on it early, and they blew it. And if they lose the next game, they're definitely going to blow it in 5. But I think that they're going to lose in 5, maybe 6. But right now I give the edge to the Warriors. And as far as the flagrant goes...
Flagrant 2.
The flagrant 2, that was rightfully called a flagrant 2. The reason I think so is because you're going up you're in the air, suspended in the air. Draymond did not go for the ball at all. He grabbed his jersey, stops his momentum. I know he tried to catch him. I get that. But you're going up. It's not like he was going for the ball. He literally grabbed his jersey and yanked it. And then he realized, oh, crap, on the way down.
Started trying to hold him up.
Yeah, and he didn't, slam him on the ground. I get that, but... Imagine you're going up, and you can jump higher than 2 inches because I can jump 1 inch off the ground. But you're going up and you're in the air and you get yanked like this, you're going to lose your... That's just not really a basketball play in my opinion. It doesn't...
Yeah.
I don't look at it as his past history. I just think that if he was going for the ball and he hit him too, maybe a flagrant 1, but he didn't go for the ball. He went for his jersey. So that's where I draw the line with it.
Yeah, I think what it looked like to me, and obviously I don't know, not in his head or whatever, but it looked like he knew he hit him in the face and started trying to grab him because he didn't want him to slam into the ground or whatever because he thought he maybe knocked him out or whatever because he hit him in the face. It looked to me like the jersey grab was him trying to, just a knee-jerk reaction to try to hold him up, but...
Maybe.
That's what I felt too. I felt like it was an attempt to try to soften the blow after he realized it was a hard foul. And it was a flagrant 1, but to kick a guy out of a game in the playoffs that's this important, regardless of his past history, regardless of the way that he plays hard, whatever, I just think it was a flagrant 1, not a flagrant 2.
Yeah.
It's too big of a call to make in that situation. And I also have Golden State in 5. I think, based on what I saw last night, that was Memphis's chance, like Colton said, and they blew it. They'll have another chance. They're gonna have another chance probably tomorrow or something, right? Coming up soon, and that'll be a really telling game about how far this series is gonna go. If Golden State wins again, it could be a sweep.
I heard Curry talking about getting greedy. It's kind of fun seeing Dylan Brooks and Gary Payton, though. A couple of Oregon State
for sure
players.
So speaking to the competitive spirit of Miami, I think that's just the way that Pat Riley puts teams together. It's been that way for many years now. He's going to put guys together that are going to fight. They're going to fight each other occasionally, but they're definitely going to go out onto the floor and they're going to fight really hard.
Yeah, he's a bunch of undrafted guys
who are trying to prove themselves. So I also have Miami in 5. I just think there's too much for Philadelphia to overcome. It's true that James Harden doesn't quite look like the same guy that he was a few years ago, and I think that's partly because of his age, but partly just because of the way he's maybe kind of slacked on taking care of himself the last few years.
Strip clubs.
Yeah.
That's true.
So, I don't think that he's really been in a mental space to try to be like one of the best in the league the last couple years, and I think that that's really starting to show itself now. With Embiid, it's just not really even fair. He's not even going to be in the series. They
lost their MVP. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough to lose an MVP candidate.
And when Miami's really firing on all cylinders like this, they're looking pretty good. And
they're deep.
They do have some injury concerns, but it seems like they're letting Lowry heal. They don't seem to be trying to rush him back, and they're still winning games. So yeah, I think that they're going to make it real hard for Philadelphia.
I'm starting a campaign right now. Tobias Harris, MVP, the new MVP of Philadelphia. He's going to take over triumphantly, and Philadelphia is still going to
pick up
lose
all
in
this
5.
all the slack.
Yeah. So here's the thing: if Embiid can miraculously come back in Game 3, masked Embiid, and they can hold serve at home court, I could see it stretching past the 5 games or so. That is what it looks like right now. But as it stands right now, if Embiid doesn't make it back before Game 4, it's over, completely over. But if Embiid can somehow come out there, at least take offensive pressure away from all the other players on Philadelphia, they have a chance to make it. Yeah, I don't think they're going to win anymore, but to make it competitive. And I think that there's no way, in my opinion, that Philadelphia can overcome it unless Embiid comes back early. And if so, I still don't think they
Yeah, I honestly think even with Embiid, it would be a tough series for Philly.
It would be tough. I could see it like a puncher's chance, especially if Embiid came in healthy. It would have been a long series, but I don't know anymore.
All right, so that leaves us with the last series, and I think the hardest one to judge. Before Game 1, I had the Celtics beating the Bucks. Man, my confidence has been shaken a little bit after that Game 1, though. Giannis looked like the best player in the league. The Bucks really ramped it up defensively. They have so many perimeter defenders. Wesley Matthews was in Tatum's jersey the whole game.
Prime of the Blazers.
I know. I miss him. Still miss him. But, the Celtics had the best defense in the league this year, even though it looked like Milwaukee had the best defense in the league in Game 1. They got the sweep of the Nets, so they're coming off a lot of momentum. But I think that might have also sort of ended up being a little bit of kind of transferring to Game 1 jitters a little bit. Maybe they're sort of focused on that sweep a little bit too much and not really were prepared for the Bucks the way that they played. But yeah, I'm gonna hold strong and disregard the first game and go with my initial prediction. I'm going to say the Celtics are going to win in a barn burner series, 7 games. I think the main reason I had them winning is because the Middleton injury. I think unless he comes back, then it's a lot of pressure on Giannis and those outside shooters like Grayson Allen and those guys to keep hitting threes. And
he's been good all playoffs.
Yeah, he has been, but I don't know if the best defense in the league, Boston Celtics, if they start to lock down some of those perimeter defenders and maybe build the wall around Giannis, I still think that the Celtics will win the series.
Yeah, I think that the home team's going to win every game of that series. That's kind of my prediction for this one. And so,
except for the Bucks already won the...
Unless you're saying the rest of the way.
Oh, the rest
of the way.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a long series.
Let me just quickly ask you guys, who has the best player in the series?
It's the Bucks.
Yeah.
I think Giannis is good enough to bridge the gap. The Celtics have the second and third best players in the series. I don't even think that's enough to overcome Giannis. Giannis is Superman.
His defense is pretty insane. They couldn't even get a layup. They couldn't get anything around the hoop in Game 1.
He can do everything but shoot threes. He can pass, ball handle, defend, run the floor. Like anything you need, he can do. And I mean, the Celtics, I do think it'll be a long series. I think I would agree that it's going to go 7, but I don't even think that the Bucks need Middleton, especially if Brook Lopez plays like he did that game. He was lights out on defense.
He was.
He's the splash mountain. He can just 3 teabag people. Like, you never know what Brook's going to do, but honestly, Giannis is too good, in my opinion.
Yeah, him and Giannis completely locked down the paint. I think the Celtics had like more threes in that game than they did in any game in the first year. They just like
I read a
3
stat
attempts
that they didn't shoot a mid-range shot the whole game. They didn't shoot one because they just couldn't.
They were forced into threes like all game long.
I think I saw they had 10 2-pointers total.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were not good looks either. They were rushing them and contested 3-point looks. There wasn't anything open. Like, and honestly, I think some of that again comes down to the Celtics seemed like they were rushing things a little bit. They weren't really making the right the extra pass and things like that. But yeah, it's gonna be a good series regardless.
Agreed. 3 teabag people.